New York City. A concrete jungle where dreams chase the relentless sun day and night. Skyscrapers pierce the sky, their windows ablaze long after dusk. A mesmerizing spectacle, a beacon of ambition. But beneath the glittering facade lies a hidden darkness, a whisper of secrets best left undisturbed. Maybe it's the city's frenetic pace, the constant race against time, that keeps residents blind to these shadows. Life here isn't a stroll. It's a sprint, leaving little room for unraveling mysteries. Sarah, Jasmine, and Olivia, a trio woven together by the threads of friendship since high school. 2 months ago, they'd traded the familiar comfort of their small town for the vibrant chaos of New York City. United by dreams as big as the city itself, they now shared a cozy, rented house, a testament to their unwavering support for one another. Despite seemingly perfect lives in their New York City adventure, Sarah, Jasmine, and Olivia faced a peculiar mystery. Every morning, they'd wake up to an unsettling sight. The bathroom, kitchen, and living room lights all mysteriously illuminated. Despite questioning each other, the answer remained the same. None of them had been up late flicking switches. This eerie phenomenon had plagued them for 2 months, yet fear of playful teasing kept them from discussing it openly. The unspoken secret gnawed at them, casting a shadow over their otherwise bright new chapter. We've all been there. The TV mysteriously turning on in the dead of night, a phantom phone notification that vanishes upon checking. Technical glitches can be a common annoyance, and even Sarah, Jasmine, and Olivia weren't strangers to them. But what started as a simple case of flickering lights in their house morphed into something far more unsettling. Unlike the occasional technical hiccup, the lights in their bathroom, kitchen, and living room weren't just turning on at random. They were consistently illuminated every morning. This deliberate, orchestrated pattern eroded their sense of normalcy, leaving them questioning not just the cause of the strange phenomenon, but their own grip on reality. By 5 p.m., Sarah, Jasmine, and Olivia were back from the animation studio, their days filled with bringing cartoons to life. Around 6 p.m., a familiar knock announced the arrival of their maid. It was a rare find in bustling New York, a reliable helper. Sometimes her young child would accompany her, transforming their quiet haven into a playground of scattered toys. Despite the slight chaos, the girls never complained. They valued having a helping hand more than a pristine living room. One evening, Sarah and Jasmine surprised themselves by finishing work early. Arriving home with a newfound spring in their step, they were greeted by an unexpected sight. The living room was a whirlwind of scattered toys, a clear sign of the maid's child playing. But an unsettling realization followed. The maid herself was nowhere to be found. They searched the house, calling her name, but only met with silence. An unsettling thought crept in. Had the maid left the child alone? Perhaps she'd gone to their neighbor's house, where she also cleaned. Uncertainty gnawed at them, the carefree joy of their early arrival evaporating in the face of this puzzling discovery. Fury bubbled in Jasmine's gut. The maid regularly brought her child, but leaving him utterly alone crossed the line. An hour bled by, but no sign of the maid. Anxious, they rushed to their neighbors, only to receive a spine-tingling reply. The maid hadn't shown up for work at all. Bewildered, they returned home, the playful afternoon echoing eerily in the sudden silence. The child, who had been a whirlwind of energy just moments ago, was gone. A million questions clawed their minds, but a looming party deadline forced them to silence their growing fear. They dressed and left, a dark cloud hanging over their hurried goodbyes. The unresolved mystery gnawed at them, promising to resurface with even greater urgency when they returned. Unaware of the unsettling events that had transpired earlier, Olivia returned home from the animation studio around 9 p.m., burdened by a late night of work. The weight of the day's extra hours pressed down on her, oblivious to the chilling mystery that awaited her inside the silent house. What might Olivia have encountered in the house upon her return from work? Olivia pushed open the door. The weight of the late night at the studio momentarily forgotten. Stepping inside, she was met with the usual sight. The bathroom light was on, as usual. She thought nothing of it and simply left it on. Though fatigue urged her straight to the shower, a flicker of unease sparked in her gut. Yet she tossed her bag aside and headed for the bathroom. Upon opening the bathroom door, Olivia was struck with terror as she saw the mirror and walls coated in blood. Shivers ran down her spine and fear gripped her. Without hesitation, she slammed the bathroom door shut and fled straight towards the exit. Olivia's frantic dash towards the door was halted by a sudden sound from Sarah's room. It was a barely audible noise, a creak or a giggle, but enough to pierce the suffocating silence. Fear warred with a sliver of morbid curiosity. Her heart hammered in her chest as she crept closer, each step heavy with dread. Slowly, she turned the knob. The room bathed in an eerie darkness. Inside, perched on the edge of Sarah's bed, sat the maid's child. Moonlight streamed through the window, casting an unsettling glow on his face. A chilling giggle escaped his lips, devoid of any warmth. Olivia's voice was a shaky whisper as she questioned him.
"What are you doing here, sweetheart?"
Her mind raced. He hadn't been there earlier. Where had he come from? And more importantly, where was his mother? But the boy's only response was another unsettling giggle. The sound of Olivia's voice hung heavy in the air, unanswered. Slowly, the child turned his head. In the pale moonlight, Olivia saw a face etched with a pain far beyond his years. It was an expression that spoke of a life lived in shadows, a secret hidden for far too long. The sight, coupled with the blood-stained bathroom, sent a wave of terror crashing down on Olivia. Fear, primal and raw, took over. Without a second thought, she turned and fled. The door slammed shut behind her, a feeble barrier against whatever horrors lurked within. The party was in full swing, music pulsing and laughter filling the air. But amidst the revelry, a cold dread began to seep into Sarah and Jasmine's hearts. Suddenly, Sarah's phone buzzed violently, shattering the carefree atmosphere. A frantic voice, unmistakably Olivia's, crackled through the receiver, whispering details of the horrifying scene in the bathroom. The blood-curdling story sent a jolt of terror through them. Their faces paled, exchanging a look that spoke volumes without words. The party lights seemed to dim, the music a distant thump in their ears. Abandoning their half-eaten meals and surprised friends, they bolted out the door, a whirlwind of worry and fear. They raced back towards their house, each beat of their hearts echoing the urgency of Olivia's call. Reaching their doorstep, they stood united, the weight of the situation pressing down on them. This wasn't a night for a party. This was a night for courage. With a deep breath and a shared determination, they steeled themselves to face whatever awaited them inside. Relief washed over them as they entered the house. Everything seemed eerily normal. Olivia, bewildered, led the way to the bathroom. Yet upon entering, all that greeted them was a sterile white space. No blood, no horrifying scene. Confusion settled over them like a thick fog. Hours ticked by, filled with hushed whispers and nervous glances. The living room, once a space of comfort, now felt suffocatingly heavy. Sleep was a distant thought. Finally, Sarah, voice tight with uncertainty, dialed the landlord. Their hope was to find a logical explanation, a rational answer to the chilling events that had unfolded. But what awaited them on the other end of the line was a mystery far deeper than they could have ever imagined. The landlord's words hung heavy in the air, a bone-chilling story that sent shivers down their spines. 7 years ago, the very walls they now stood within had witnessed a horrific tragedy. A family resided in the house. The wife, discovering her husband's infidelity, demanded a divorce. Instead, the husband committed a heinous act, murdering his wife and child before taking his own life. Upon hearing this unsettling narrative, Sarah, Jasmine, and Olivia were gripped by fear. The bloodstains in the bathroom seemed to echo the tragic events of the past, but the appearance and disappearance of the maid's child left them bewildered. Despite the chilling revelation, exhaustion and dwindling hope convinced them to stay for the night, planning to relocate the following morning. Sleep, however, was a distant dream. Every creak of the floorboards, every flicker of the lights, sent a jolt of terror through them. Morning's light brought little solace. As the first rays peeked through the windows, a knock on the door shattered the silence. It was the maid, her arrival seemingly unexpected. Yet when Sarah, Jasmine, and Olivia bombarded her with questions about the child, a suffocating silence descended. The maid finally responded, her voice devoid of emotion.
I don't have any children.